Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are reviewing the new album from Sabaton. This is called The Great War. Sabaton are a power metal band from Sweden. This is their 9th studio album, what I'll be talking about today. This is their first one since 2016. They've put out a lot of material since 2005 with their debut, Primo Victoria. I'm simply listing off context without actually giving my own opinion, because this is the first Sabaton album I've listened to. So yeah, I'm a newbie when it comes to power metal. I'm going to get that out of the way. Really, the one song that comes to mind when I think of the genre, and I've always labeled it as one thing in my mind, is just Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force, which I want to branch out from that. So if you can bear with me as I give my thoughts on this album, cool, I appreciate it. If not, I will gladly take whatever kind of comments you give me. I actually find them funny to read sometimes. Anyways, for power metal, what I can pinpoint with its sound is something that's a bit lighter on the side of metal. It's not going to be your typical death metal. It's going to be something that's very uplifting. Now, the album I'm going to be reviewing in this particular video is something that kind of contradicts that uplifting feeling, because we're talking about war. And I think it works in this way of being this paradox where we are trying to uplift something, to have a victory, to have a celebration, to triumph over top of another country. And then this album does a fantastic job of questioning why we had to have the war in the first place, especially when there's all this destruction to humanity and blah, 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 blah. Now, before I get too deep into this review, I want to say that there are 3 different versions to this album. There's a history edition, a soundtrack edition, and the standard. I will be talking about the standard one for this video. Mainly, I'm just doing that to keep things standard, and this is something that I'm coming into looking at the musical elements more than the historical context. I'm not a big history buff to begin with. Now, for Sabaton, their name is a reference to a knight's foot armor, so expectedly we get a lot of lyrical themes circling around war, historical battles, glory, bravery. A very tried and true convention to fit yourself into the particular category of power metal, with lots of operatic vocals, anthemic melodies, and notably so a genre that is influenced by a European movement. First off, for this album, I want to dive into the positives, some of the better moments on this project. I am really enjoying the opening cut, The Future of Warfare. I really dig the melodic guitar solo on here. The anthemic and grandiose chorus is one of the better ones on here. There are others that I can't stomach necessarily, and I'll talk about those a bit later, but the opening track is a good one for its chorus. There are a few little guitar riffs and moments of sound play with the drums in the first verse. The verses overall for the song, the opening track, are fantastic. And compositionally, I can compliment this song too. I really admire the switching between sections of the song, in particular the pre-chorus into the chorus. It's very soul-lifting, and I also like the transition between the verse and the pre-chorus. For the rest of the positives that I can pull from this album, I enjoy some of the softer moments. We have the song The Red Baron, which opens with this soft organ solo that creeps into the first half of the leg. I find it very compelling. And then the closing moments on this album are certainly praiseworthy. We have a song rendition of In Flanders Fields, which is a poem that was written by a Canadian physician, John McCrae. First World War, should have mentioned this right from the get-go. This album is about First World War. But what I love about this poem being turned into a song here is that we have this unity of voices, and it's certainly the highlight. And I do really appreciate that it's not just the men who are distinctly heard. We actually hear a lot of women too, and we gotta remember that war is something that is always uniting an entire nation. It's not only just men, it is all walks of life that are a part of a specific country. So yeah, the album ends on the best note it could after hearing all the mortars and the artillery blazing at the tail end of the penultimate track. And instrumentally, I feel like this album, as we strip away these kinds of layers of drums, guitars, vocals, and we're just solely left with this choir at the end, is really significant in the way that, like, okay, the war is over. The instruments, what could represent the artillery and all of the sounds of war, have now vanished. And what are we left with? Well, it's the people that are memorializing the soldiers and everyone who has sacrificed their lives. So really just throws into question war, and I think that for a concept, this album is fantastic. Positives out of the way, this is an album I have difficulties listening to for its music. I will say that the power metal elements that are weaved into this album feel a bit corny at times. 82nd All the Way is a track that comes to me when I think of it. We have this very grandiose chorus and a very larger than life performance that really comes across as a little overambitious or overstated. And I say that kind of knowing that Sabaton, this is their MO, is just being as over the top as possible. Anyways, I just feel like some of the songs on here, like Devil Dogs, 82nd All the Way, Great War, the bigger the scene, the bigger the ensemble, the more I found myself shying away from this project. Devil Dogs in particular, I feel like we get these Sargent vocals that kind of just aren't for me because they remind me of the very cringy Sargent skits from the 2015 Muse record, Drones. The track Great War has a lot of raspy vocal timbre to it compared to the other songs. The organs and instrumentation on here, they get a little long in the tooth, knowing that some of the songs that come before it on the project just feel like the same thing. By no means am I saying that the musicality is unimpressive. In fact, I think that there is a great sense of virtuosity on here, including the new guitarist. I think he pulls through with some interesting guitar solos. And then the lyrics are commendable, but for this tune, Great War, it's just something, along with a lot of these other tracks on here, I don't see myself coming back to on multiple occasions. The last song I want to talk about on this album is called The End of the War to End All Wars, which is a very powerful statement. Obviously, the only war that can end all wars is the one that kills everyone. So what do we get at the beginning of this song? It's something that is very stripped back. We have the string and piano combination that feels a little cheap to me. That's how I hear it with my ears, especially when we're going to be ending all war. Like, is this the statement they want to make? Like, is war cheap? I thought it was about making money. The song, though, altogether really just feels glued with this weak sense of song composition. Really just falls apart before we get to the chorus, unfortunately. You know what? After listening to this album, after starting this channel really last year, I was trying to get myself out of the comfort zone, trying to branch out and listen to new music, try to express my own opinions in different ways. For Sabaton as a band, I never imagined myself listening to them, so I do appreciate what is offered on this project from a storyline perspective, from a lyrical standpoint. It is very thought-provoking. Is it going to compel me to enroll in a history class, though? Probably not. The sounds of the songs on this project, some are throwaway. It's really the over-the-top aesthetic, as I was saying. I'm not really into it. The bigger the ensembles, the more I'm just not into it. But before I end this video, I do want to say that there are a couple good songs, and they will be in the description as always. Now, that really only leaves us with rating this album, and I have a very difficult time with that because there is a concept here that I love, some songs I love, and then there are some songs that I'm just like, that's not for me. So I'm gonna sit on the fence with this one. I do apologize to those who were coming here for a polarizing opinion. I know the internet seems like a place where you're just expecting that. You're not gonna get that with this video, unfortunately. So I'm gonna stick with a 5 out of 10. I really want to hear from you guys down in the comments for this video, more than really any other one that I've done up until this point. It's just in the way that it's something new. I want some suggestions. I would greatly appreciate any for power metal, for metal entirely. But outside of that, do the usual YouTube thing, drop a like, subscribe if you're new in town. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a rockin' day.